Good afternoon, everyone. Dave Lubin here with this week's Detroit Lions. Just a review. We're not doing a preview till next week when the Lions will get ready for their first playoff game. I'll just start right off and admitting it. Boy, was I wrong. You think you know football. I've been watching football for over 50 years, and I think I understand what's going on. And I said last week the only way the Lions could win is if they had to win the turnover battle by two. Well, the opposite happened. Actually, the Vikings last week won the turnover battle. They had two interceptions of Jared Goff. The Lions had got a grand total of zero interceptions, but they harassed the heck out of Sam Darnold, and they put up a defensive performance that, I mean, if you watched last week's show, whatever 40 of you watched it, you know that I didn't see that coming. I don't think a lot of people did. I didn't think the Lions were going to win the game. I said the Lions could win the game. They were playing at home. I recognize they're a well-coached, resilient team, but I said ultimately I thought that because of the injuries, it was going to hold them back from winning that one. But heck, they won it. They won the first round bye. They won they're the number one seed for the first time in NFL history, and I seen a lot of things I never thought I would see as a Lions fan this year. The number one seed, an undefeated record at home, and undefeated against their division rivals. Prior to this, the best year I remember them having against the division was back in '83 when they did win the division. They went 7-1. That was when Tampa Bay was part of the division as well. So, what a year! What a game! Lions win 31-9. I also said if they won, it was going to be a field goal or something like that by Jake Bates. Well, that didn't come into fruition. The game was well decided by the fourth quarter. It was a tough game, certainly in the first half. They were only leading 10-6, and then even going into the third quarter was 17-9. But sometimes it's those little things that happen. Jared Goff came real close to throwing his third interception, and had Van Ginkel caught that interception, probably would have been returned for a touchdown. Instead, he drops it, and the Lions go on to take a 24-9 lead. So Jared Goff had an interesting game. Now, what's interesting is that he had the two interceptions. He almost had that interception returned for a touchdown, or I don't know what almost means, but it was certainly a makeable play. But with all that, he is still the second highest ranked player last week. Now, the interesting thing about Goff is that was not a Houston game. The Houston game, he was just pretty bad until, let's say, the fourth quarter, and he managed to pull it together. With the exception of those three throws, and almost getting caught for grounding in the end zone, which the refs didn't call. And I do think it was a gray area. There was a guy in the area, so you might or might not call that. I mean, you get those kinds of calls at home. But anyway, regardless, other than those four throws, he was actually excellent. It wasn't really, the Vikings were in his face all day, and there were some throws that he was completing that were just outstanding. I mean, the fourth down touchdown to Gibbs, I mean, that was a great play by him, great route by Gibbs, great design by Ben Johnson. Everything about that play was called out perfectly. I got really nervous when they went for it there, but they made it, and great, just a great play. Another play I remember is in the first half. It was another fourth down call, and it looked like he was going to get clocked. Okay, I can't remember if it was Grenard or Van Ginkel, and it was one of the two were in his face, and they were coming fast and furious, and he got off a pass to Jameson Williams to complete another one of those fourth downs. So he was great on fourth down, but as I said, he had a few bad moments, but nevertheless, he was ranked second. Who was the highest rated offensive player last week? It was Jahmyr Gibbs. No big surprise there. What a game he had. Third was St. Brown. St. Brown had a very quiet, good game. He wasn't very flashy, but he made some important plays when they needed to keep drives alive. And then what's also good is fourth and fifth were Penei Sewell and Taylor Decker. So when you have your tackles playing well, especially against that defense, that's going to help you a lot. On defense, the five highest ranked players were Jack Campbell. Levi Onwuzurike was second. So that's kind of a surprise one right there, I think. But Muhammad was third. Kirby Joseph and Terrion Arnold were next. So certainly Joseph and Arnold are guys that you would expect. We're going to have to just cross our fingers and hope that Terrion Arnold can play and that the 2 weeks rest will help him. I haven't heard yet. I know it's a foot injury. I know that the X-rays were negative, so hopefully he's going to be able to go a week from Sunday. So it's been a fantastic season. I'll also point out in that top five for the defense, one player missing. I'm surprised. Alex Anzalone. I thought he had an outstanding game. I thought he would have been top five for sure. I definitely would have thought that. I don't know. I would have maybe put him number one. I just felt like he was all over the field, making plays, making a difference, playing with that cast and whatever else he had on his arm. So pretty impressive. So yeah, as I said, that was a game where I was humbled. I've been doing this every single week. I think I've gotten more right than wrong. Most weeks I've been looking for Lions to win. As a matter of fact, I called them to win against Buffalo. They didn't, as we know. It was probably their worst game of the season, but against the best or second best quarterback in the game, so can understand that happening. So now we are on to the playoffs. We'll find out who they're going to play. Personally, I don't want to see the Vikings or the Rams, but it's unless one of the 6th or 7th seeds wins, they're going to have to play the Vikings or the Rams. But this is the playoffs. The 6th or 7th seed might come in. Even if they do, let's say Washington gets by Tampa Bay, even if that happens, there's still no guarantees of anything. Because, sometimes crazy stuff happens. You think back to last year and, Houston, they came out, were led by a rookie quarterback in the first game. They beat the Browns, beat their socks off. So you don't know what's going to happen. But although they were playing at home, so not that, maybe not that big an upset. And especially given in that game, the Browns are playing Joe Flacco. Anyway, so just a few words about end-of-year statistics. The main guy I want to talk about is what a year Jahmyr Gibbs had. Aside from having the 1,400-plus yards that he had, he also had 517 yards pass receiving. So that's like almost 2,000 yards total. And that was a big improvement over last year. St. Brown just does what St. Brown did. 115 catches, 1,263 yards. I mean, it's just the guy's just a machine. And this is his 4th year in the league with putting up those kinds of numbers. I mean, he keeps this up. He's headed for the Hall of Fame. And as I said, I mean, based on these first 4 seasons, I still think he's the best receiver in Lions history. And I include Calvin Johnson. I include Herman Moore. I just think in terms of being a football player, coming up with those important plays, being just completely reliable, I've just never seen a receiver like him. He was fantastic. Jameson Williams, they got him to 1,000 yards. I believe he gets a bonus for that. I didn't know what they were doing. I do kind of question what they were doing a little bit at the end. They got Kevin Zeitler hurt. I'm not. I think he'll be okay to go for the playoff game. I think they're more worried about Arnold, as I understand it. But still, that was a little bit risky just to get the guy his 1,000 yards. But good for him. Gets a little bit of extra spending money. Not that he doesn't have enough money, but hey, he earns it. He earns it. Laporta, 60 catches, 726 yards. So not the amazing year that he had in his rookie year, but he did come out of the gates hurt out of training camp. As the year went on, he became more and more solid. He's not ranked one of the top 5 offensive players of last week's game, but I thought he had a very solid game. He was coming through kind of similar to St. Brown's game. He was just coming up with key catches when they needed them. And Tim Patrick, they lost Josh Reynolds last year. They decided not to re-sign him, and he went 33 for 394. So not quite the numbers that Reynolds put up, but that more than adequately filled the bill, especially because Jameson Williams had so much of a better season than he had last year. Okay, so I will check in next week. We'll. I think we all could use the break this week. Certainly the Lions can, but we can just enjoy football and not be nervous about what the Lions are going to do and give them a chance to heal. And we'll do a preview show next week. Thank you for watching. Hit like, hit subscribe, and we'll see who their opponent is going to be.